Okay, Confederal Socialist, I just watched your video to the Philosophagoricals, and you seem to claim that somehow you don't have a theory of epistemology, you just tell it how it is, and that every other epistemologist out there who is believes in uh, breaks up the world into modal categories. And I took that to mean that, um, as you put it in your example, that race, when we use the categories for race, we call someone black. We're not really doing due justice to the fact that the race is so there's so many gradations between races that it's almost a meaningless category. So the world is just like that. There's so many gradations that breaking it up into little categories and types doesn't do justice to the way reality is. But that is a particular theory of epistemology, and you did point out in your video that people have told you that there are theories of epistemology which account for gradation and everything else. Um, but you seem to think that just by mentioning the fact that people have told you that somehow you've refuted the argument just by saying with enough disdain that well, of course, some people will claim that there are theories of epistemology that are not modal, but you don't even say I don't believe it. You just say it with enough disdain that you think that the argument's been refuted, and that's not a very good way of conducting a discussion, I think. But anyway, you also seem to believe that somehow science has escaped that limitation that epistemology has. But if you look at science, and there's all sorts of examples of it breaking up things into categories which aren't really a feature of the world. So my one example is if you go back over the last 100 million years, and somehow every fossil had been preserved. So you could see every gradation on the way to humanity. You could see every frame of the movie that eventually became humanity. You couldn't really determine when humanity began because it would be so gradual that there's no set point where you could decide that this is humanity, this is ape. You didn't see that, but this is humanity, this is ape. Um, but so science does use those categories and does use those types that um, you seem to despise, or at least pretend to despise. And even you think that if you really believe wholeheartedly in a graduated epistemology, um, as I'll put it, you might not believe that if you're being consistent, you might not believe that we have an identity from moment to moment because everything about us is changing every second, and that's basically the truth. And um, we've all heard that thing that every 7 years we are a completely new human being because everything has been replaced. Um, but I had a previous video about this that identity isn't really existent. So you have a belief that we can be categorized into people, into individual people over time. Um, there's all these examples of epistemological assumptions that you make that you don't want to acknowledge, and you think that you've really figured it out, and philosophagoricals, as you put it, are just engaging in flights of fancy and wasting their time. But I agree that there are some bad philosophers out there, and it seems to attract a lot of bullshitters. But I think you don't do philosophy enough justice and you don't think some, and you somehow believe that you don't have philosophical positions, which you do have, even if you won't admit them. Um, and that somehow you also believe that somehow philosophy is the only reason it exists is to hold off the state. We're just so afraid of the state that we have to figure out what the nature of reality is. That somehow connects for you. I don't believe in ethics either. I don't believe that there is an objective morality either, and so don't worry that believe I'm a moral nihilist. So don't think I'm on the other side of that debate with from you. But um, I think I'll stop it there because I think I've got my main points across. Let's I'll talk to you guys later.